Well, hello, boys and ghouls. Welcome back to Starbuck Place. We're continuing in our 8 weeks of Halloween. Tonight I have 3 fantastic old-time radio shows that will chill you to your core. And we're going to start with an episode of Macabre, although they don't say the word right. This episode aired on November 13th of 1961, and it's titled Final Resting Place. It tells the story about an escaped madman and his victim who's willingly buried alive. So sit back and enjoy, boys and ghouls, our first show for tonight's 8 weeks of Halloween, Final Resting Place on Macabre.
Man lives in a world of time and space. He lives in a spectrum of the universe. When he ventures beyond this limit, he is in the unknown, a realm where strange forces are brought into play. When man attempts to misuse these forces, he is sometimes destroyed. This is Macabre.
The Far East Network presents, in special performance, Macabre. Tonight's story, Final Resting Place.
Roger, this doesn't look like the road. Honey, I think we're lost.
It has to be right, Sue. Justice of the Peace back at Carterville said the lake was on the main highway. We haven't made any turns.
But, darling, it's getting dark. This road doesn't look well-traveled. I really think we made a wrong turn somewhere.
Mrs. Kent, your husband solemnly promises to deliver his bride of a few hours safely and surely to Honeymoon Lodge on Mirror Lake. Now, let's hear no more about it. Come on, move closer. Head on my shoulder. That's it.
Roger, you better watch the road.
Why? We haven't passed another car for an hour. Relax, Sue. It's a fine way to start a married life of bliss.
Look, there's a sign. Can you make it out?
Yeah. Randolph, 5 miles.
Are we supposed to go this way?
Sure. What'd I tell you? It's only 50 miles farther. Randolph is our halfway point.
But this country road, how can they call a lonely trail like this a highway?
You're just a sophisticated cityite. Now close your eyes and listen to the radio. We'll be there before you know it.
All right, darling. I guess I'm getting jumpy.
Head on my shoulder and not another word. Okay?
Okay.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special news bulletin. Authorities at the state asylum have just issued the following warning. A dangerous homicidal maniac escaped custody this morning and is believed to be in the vicinity of Randolph.
Roger.
Listen.
He's 45 years of age, weighs 200 pounds, has thick gray hair, and answers to the name of Dr. Vardmore. We repeat, this man is a dangerous killer. Those in the vicinity of Randolph are urged to take extra precaution tonight. Since this killer is armed, the public is warned against walking alone or driving at night on the quiet roads near Randolph. Report all suspicious persons to the county sheriff's office. Now we return you to Stars of Music.
Roger, did you hear that?
Sure, but how does it concern us?
Darling, we are driving down a country road near Randolph. Suppose we should have car trouble or a flat tire.
Oh, you are getting jumpy.
Let's stop in Randolph for the night.
But, Sue, our reservations at Mirror Lake are for tonight.
Please, Roger. I have the strangest feeling. If we don't stop at Randolph, we'll never reach Mirror Lake.
Great idea, Sue.
What, darling?
Stopping here for the night? Now we can see the carnival.
It's all right while these people are here, I guess. But we'd better go back to the hotel before they leave.
Are you still afraid?
Well, kinda. Aren't you?
Come on. I'll show you a good time. You'll forget all about it.
Okay. What's that man doing over there?
And now, ladies and gentlemen, If you'll kindly step closer,
I don't know. Let's
I
find
will
out.
demonstrate for you one of the great marvels of all time. As you see at my feet is a hole, an excavation 6 feet in depth, a grave, if you will. And beside me here is a casket. Now, friends, what do you think we are going to do? Now, friends, ladies and gentlemen, have no fear. Tonight, I, Professor Vincent, will select someone, one of you from the audience, to be hypnotized and placed in this casket. Then I will bury him alive for 5 days.
If he's not buried that long, he ain't going to wind up much alive.
Just a moment, please. 5 days at $100 a day. Now, what do you say? Who wants to make $500? There is absolutely no danger. A shaft will be sunk so that we can see your head. You'll get plenty of light and air. Food will be lowered to you. Nothing to it at all. Who'll be the first volunteer?
You got as popular as an undertaker, pal.
Come now, ladies and gentlemen. Under hypnosis, believe me, 5 days will seem like an hour. The easiest $500 you've ever made. Who will volunteer? How about you, my bumpkin comedian friend?
No, sirree. Last year I took sick with pneumonia. Thought sure I'd end up in one of them boxes.
Did you recover? It's hard to tell from looking at you. You, sir, what is your name?
Roger, he's pointing at you.
I don't think I'd be interested.
Who are you, sir?
Roger Kent?
Roger Kent. Does $500 interest you?
Well, sure, but,
Good. Good, you'll make a fine subject.
Now, wait a minute.
And, Roger, who is the young lady with you?
My wife, Sue.
Oh? And what do you say, Mrs. Kent?
Why, I think it's just a dreadful idea. No,
You better pick someone else, Professor.
Nonsense. Do you need the money?
we do need it. But not this way, Roger. It's awful.
$500 would pay off the car. We still have 10 days left for our honeymoon, Sue.
Well, how about it, friends?
Don't let him tempt you. I don't like that man.
It is a lot of money for only 5 days.
We can't wait all night. What do you say?
I don't know.
Say no, Roger.
Speak up. Yes or no?
I'd hate to turn it down.
You're not going to be buried in that terrible coffin. Tell him no.
Go ahead, pal. We got a first-class cemetery.
All right. All right, everyone. Roger and Sue, time's up. Tell you what I'll do. Think it over. If you decide to go through with it, come back after a couple of hours when the carnival is closed for the night. I'll be waiting for you in my trailer.
Oh, Roger, he wants you. I'm afraid of that man.
Don't forget, I'll wait up for you until you decide one way or the other. Roger Kent will hold the grave open for you.
Roger, I'm afraid.
Listen, Sue, my mind's made up.
But suppose...
Face up to it. We need the money. That's the easiest $500 I ever heard of.
Darling, I know that.
Then what's the matter?
Well, in the first place, we shouldn't be out here in the dark with that madman loose. In the second place...
Professor Vincent seems too interested in me.
Oh, Roger, you read my mind. I'm just trying to protect you, honey. That man, I don't know. There's something wrong.
Admit it, Sue. You don't like the buried alive act. Isn't that it?
Yes, I guess so. It's horrible.
I thought so. Uh-oh. This must be his trailer. Professor Vincent. Here it is.
Roger.
Yeah?
If he answers, there'll be no turning back. It'll be too late.
I know. No turning back.
Professor Vincent,
Come in, Roger and Sue. Come in.
did you really think we'd come?
I was certain. You see, there is no other way. When I count 3, Roger, you will be asleep. Sound asleep on your feet. Then, Roger, you will be placed in the coffin and lowered into the grave for your 5-day rest. Now look deeply into my eyes. Deeply
Inhale and look deeply into my eyes. You're going to sleep, Roger. To sleep. You can no longer move your arms. They hang helpless at your side. Sleep, Roger. Close your eyes and sleep. 1, 2. Your eyes are closed. And now you are powerless to open them. You are 3. Asleep.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to place Roger Kent in the casket. Whom among you in the audience will help me?
I will, Professor.
All right, my friend, step right up here now. Here, help me raise the lid of this coffin.
Now, give me his feet and we'll put him in.
Careful, careful. He's a big man. There. He's in.
God, heavy as a rock. Just like a dead man.
Yes, now, close the lid. Close it. Now we're ready to lower into the grave. You see, the casket is supported over the open hole by 2 chains. If you'll flip that switch the same time I flip this one, Mr. Kent will be gently deposited in his grave.
This one?
Yes. There it goes.
Glory be. Just like a real funeral. Reminds me of the time we buried my grandpappy.
Ladies and gentlemen, in just a few moments, the coffin will lie at the bottom of the grave. We will then place an air shaft down to Mr. Kent's head so that he will be able to breathe. And all of you will be able to see him at 25 cents apiece.
I don't know. I just don't know.
Thank you, friend. You've done your work now. Will you kindly leave? Thank you. You are witnessing the marvel of the age. A human being being buried alive. The casket has stopped. Will another volunteer from the audience help me position the air shaft?
How about me?
Fine. Step up here, friend, if you please.
You picked the right one this time, Governor.
So?
I used to work in a funeral parlor. Handled the steps.
Yes, now, just pick up that end of the metal shaft, please. Easy does it. Now, down over the round opening on the casket lid. Careful now. There. Thank you very much, my friend. Neat, very neat.
Okay, Governor. What next?
The shovel. The hole must be covered up.
Oh, sure.
And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. You have just seen demonstrated the marvel of the age. A man buried alive. Mr. Kent will lie there in a deep slumber, the end of which time we'll dig him up and pay him $500. In the meantime, my friends, you may step up here and view him down the shaft for a small sum of 25 cents, 1/4 to 1/4 part of a dollar. Ladies and gentlemen, who will be first among you?
No, sir.
What's that you say?
Dishonest, I say.
What's the matter with you?
Charging money to see him buried alive.
What?
I don't know. I helped you lift him in.
Leave the carnival, sir. Leave here immediately.
That man ain't buried alive. He's dead.
Hello?
Hello, Mrs. Kent. This is Professor Vincent. I got your message. First chance I've had to call you.
Oh, Professor, I'm so glad you did.
What's on your mind?
How is Roger?
I keep telling you he's all right. Now you must stop this nonsense.
Well, it's been 3 days since he was buried, and he just lies there so still. Oh, if I could only talk to him.
Mrs. Kent.
I called down to him, but he never moves or opens his eyes. And after all this time, I know something is wrong. Roger wouldn't let me worry like this. He'd at least look up and smile, if he could.
How many times must I repeat he is hypnotized?
We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin.
Oh, just a moment, Professor. The
The
radio...
Sheriff's office has just confirmed the whereabouts of the homicidal maniac who escaped from the state asylum 3 days ago. This dangerous killer who calls himself Dr. Vardmore is now known to be in the immediate vicinity of Randolph. Everyone is cautioned against walking alone on the streets after dark. If you plan to attend the carnival, kindly do so with friends, and leave the carnival in the company of others. Report all suspicious persons. We return you now to your regular program.
Did you hear that on the radio?
Yes, I did.
Oh, Professor, I'm terribly afraid. I don't want Roger alone down there with this madman loose. Please, Professor, dig Roger up tonight.
Mrs. Kent, we made a bargain. A business proposition. Kindly stay in your hotel room and rest. This is the 3rd day, the day after tomorrow,
It will be all over for Roger and for you.
Pardon me, ma'am. Are you Mrs. Kent?
Why, yes. Who are you?
I'm the one who helped put your husband in the casket.
Well, why are you talking to me?
I don't know. Just to warn you, I guess. I think your husband's dead.
Oh, you horrible, horrible little man. Get away from me. I'll call the police.
That's you, Mrs. Kent.
Oh, Professor Vincent, I'm so glad to see you. A terrible little man.
Yes, I heard what he said. Now get hold of yourself and listen to me carefully. This is the 5th night. I want you to go to the hotel and wait until the carnival is over. Tonight is the last showing at Randolph. At 11:30, you take a taxi out here to the lot. I'll meet you. Roger will be ready along with the $500.
All right, Professor. Anything you say. Oh, thank God this is about to end.
Yes, my dear. It's all about to end.
Are you going out, Miss Kent?
Yes, clerk. And here's the key to my room.
Thank you. I don't think it's wise, though. I mean, you're going out alone. It's after 11 and mighty dark tonight.
The police haven't caught the killer yet?
No. Funny thing, too. Looks like he'll have to leave a fresh trail. You know, kill somebody so they'll have more to go on. Now, why don't you take someone with you?
Oh, I'll be all right. I'm meeting Professor Vincent at the carnival lot. This is the night they released my husband.
I see.
Do you know the professor?
Oh, yes, I do.
Well, he's the one who hypnotized Mr. Kent.
No. Professor Vincent didn't.
What?
Professor got sick 5 days ago.
Got sick? Well, then who was Professor Vincent at the carnival?
I don't know. Somebody who took his place, I guess.
Here you are, driver. Thank you.
Professor Vincent, it's so dark. Where are you?
I'm sure the carnival was on this vacant lot, but now there's nothing. Just a few old papers blowing in the wind. Oh, why did I let that cab leave? No light in sight. Those trees around the lot. What if the killer were hiding there? Oh, the place Roger was buried. It was in this direction. This way. Maybe I can find it. The Graham will be thought. But it's like a mountain filled hole. Must be right around here. Oh, where is it? Oh, what's this? A mount?
Ah! No. Oh, they can't do that. They went away and left you buried. Oh, Roger. I'll get you out, honey. Oh, my darling, I'll help you. I'll dig.
Something is watching me from those trees. I saw it move. I could get out of here. I'll be back, Roger. There's no night filling station 5 blocks away. Maybe I can make it there. Oh, it moved again. There is someone out there. Roger, is that you? No, it's coming after me. It's too big for Roger. I don't know what it is. It's gaining on me. I can't let it catch me. No!
Mrs. Kent, calm yourself, please.
Who are you?
Don't you know? I'm Professor Vincent. I was waiting for you. Now, come with me to my trailer.
No, you're not Professor Vincent.
So, you guessed.
Who are you?
There's nothing to be alarmed about. You're in safe hands at last. I am Victor. Dr. Victor Vardmore.
I've been asleep, I guess. Legs feel cramped. Mind's foggy. Can't remember what happened. Sue, where are you? Dark. Pitch black. Must be night. Quiet. Not a sound. I could only remember. Think back. Smells damp, like fresh earth. Where am I? Gotta get up and stretch my leg. No rooms. Wait a minute. There was this carnival. Professor Vincent. Oh, it's beginning to come back now. I was hypnotized and put in a casket. Buried for 5 days, yeah. Yeah, it's clear now. The time's up, yeah. They're going to dig me up now. Boy, the deed did not expel that old boy put me in. I'm glad it's over. Okay, Professor. You can bring me up now. I guess he stepped away from the shaft. Shaft? Where's the shaft? It's supposed to be over my head here so I can see up. Can't see a thing. Cloth-lined coffin lid where shaft should be. What's going on here? I'd like to get out, Professor. Possible they went away and left me buried alive? Oh, no. Professor! Sue! Help! I'm buried alive! Good Lord. Help! Gotta get out. Help me, somebody! Don't leave me down here to die! Help! Push harder! More! No use. Won't budge. Help! I'm gonna die. You left me here to die. Can't call for help. Nobody'd hear me. Carnival left. Nothing up there but vacant lot, edge of town. If somebody came back, how could he tell I was down here buried? Oh, God, don't let this happen to me, please. Help me, save me. God, don't let this. I don't want to die.
Roger.
I'm hearing things.
This is Professor Vincent. Now listen carefully.
Where are you? Get me out of here.
Don't fret. Your oxygen supply won't last much longer.
Oxygen?
You're buried alive, Roger. And I'm not coming back for you.
Not going back?
I'm leaving you buried there.
Oh, Professor, I'll kill you.
How, Roger? Tell me how.
I'll kill...
Don't excite yourself any further. The oxygen pellet won't sustain your lungs. You are hearing my voice in a small, shortwave receiver and transmitter near your head. I am talking to you from my trailer about a block from you.
Sue is with me, Roger. I want you to listen very, very carefully.
Sue, there?
Go ahead, Sue. Tell him.
Oh, Roger, are you all right?
Yes. What's he doing with you?
Please do as he says, darling. He's not the real professor. He's that escaped madman from the asylum, Dr. Vardmore.
He's crazy, Sue.
Please, darling, we have no choice.
Please, quick, Sue.
Listen to me. One move like that, and I will kill you both. I've gone to a lot of trouble to set up my final demonstration.
What are you going to do?
I am going to try personality transference. We have the required situation. A man buried alive in mortal fear of death. And the woman he loves, who will do anything to save him.
If we do, as you say, what then?
I will release the two of you.
And if we don't?
You have just enough oxygen for just a few more minutes.
I see.
Hurry, Dr. Vardmore, get it over with.
Now, Roger, I want you to think about Sue. Sue, you about Roger. Each imagine he is the other. Roger, you are standing beside me in the trailer. Sue, you are lying down there in the casket.
No!
Cooperate and I will free you. It's your only way out of that grave.
If it works, you mean I'll be in Sue's?
Yes, and she in yours.
Do it, darling. It's our only chance.
He's not Sue.
That's enough. One more refusal, and I'll turn off the shortwave transmitter and leave you in your dark world forever. Now, Roger, imagine you are Sue standing here. Sue, you concentrate on being Roger in the casket. Think. Put everything else out of your minds. I have it. Repeat something you both know. Say the 23rd Psalm. Here we go now. Start with me.
The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with me.
Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table.
Roger! Sue! Help me! Don't leave me down here! The oxygen, it's going! Take me! Take me up! I'm dying!
You have just heard Macabre, a special Far East Network presentation. In our cast were John Buey as Professor Vincent, Mitzi Hennessy as Sue, William Verdier as Roger, Milton Radmilovich, Air Force Sergeant Bob Eddy, and Air Force Sergeant Newell Stewart. Technical supervision by Hiroshi Odo. This is Air Force Sergeant Al LePage speaking. Macabre was written and directed by William Verdier.
Macabre comes to you each week at this time through the worldwide facilities of the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
Welcome back, boys and ghouls. I hope you enjoyed that episode of Macabre. Coming up next, I have a wonderful episode of Escape called Pollock and the Porro Man. This was originally a short story by the famed H.G. Wells, and the tale opens with a man named Pollock being visited by a friend in London. In this episode, a man is followed by a curse from Africa to London, and his friend tries to convince him that it's all in his head. But is it? There's only one way to find out. Thank you for joining us on Antiquities Radio's 8 Weeks of Halloween, and sit back and enjoy, kiddies, Pollock and the Porro Man on Escape.
Worried about the United Nations? Anxious about those bills piling up? Want to get away from it all?
CBS offers you Escape.
You are the victim of a native witch doctor, pursued from the west coast of Africa to the west end of London by the grinning face of a dead man. You are under the curse of a Porro Man.
The Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliated stations present Escape, produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and carefully plotted to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
Tonight, we escape to the dark lowlands of West Africa and the mind of a man who scoffed at native magic, as H.G. Wells paints it in his gripping story, Pollock and the Porro Man.
had spent considerable time in Africa, but I have given little credence to the many superstitions of the natives there. Voodoo curses, weird incantations of witch doctors, and the like had always seemed a pretty silly business to me. But that was before the affair of Pollock and the Porra man. Even then, while the thing was happening, I took little notice. It was only when I got back to England some months later and went to see Pollock climbing up the 3 flights of stairs to his lonely bedroom that I began to realize the ghastly truth of it. One look at him was enough. I had never before seen a man so unnaturally wasted, so prematurely aged and broken, so eerily mad as this man lying on the bed and looking up at me with haggard eyes.
It was good of you to come, Waterhouse.
Nonsense, old chap. I just thought I'd look you up and say hello. But I had no idea I would find you ill.
Ill? Yes, I suppose I am ill. I suppose that's what you'd call it.
But what in heaven's name is the matter, Pollock?
I say, come closer, will you? I can barely see you.
Why, yes, of course. I'll just drop a chair and...
Oh, no.
Pollock, man, what's the matter?
Oh, no. Take it away. Take it away.
What are you talking about? What is it, man?
That thing in your hand. Take it away, please, for heaven's sake. Take it away.
In my hand? Pollock, this is only my hat.
Your hat?
Why, yes, of course. Just an ordinary black Homburg. Now, if its style is offensive to you...
No, I just put it on the table, the floor. Somewhere where I can't see it, please.
Well, of course, old man.
Yes, I suppose you think I'm mad.
Now, don't be.
I know you do. Everybody does. Because I'm used to it now. And the worst of it is, perhaps I am.
I say, Pollock.
Only I don't think so. Because I do see it. I don't care if no one else does. I can see it.
See what?
The head. That hideous face following me everywhere, grinning at me. And always upside down.
Pollock, what are you talking about?
You don't believe me either. Well, look at my wrist. It's broken. The bandage is still on it. That's real enough, isn't it?
Well, yes, of course. Broken, you say?
Yes. It did that. And my other accident, when I first got back to England, they said I walked in front of a bus, but I know better. It did that, too.
A head?
Exactly. You wouldn't expect to see a man's head come rolling down the middle of a busy street in London, now, would you?
Now, Pollock, you'd better lie back, rest a bit. I'll call a doctor.
Oh, you too. And I thought you might understand. After all, you were with me when it started. It was you who first warned me, who sent me home.
You don't mean that business with the Porra man?
Oh, yes. Yes, of course. You remember how it started? We were camped at that little village on the lagoon behind the Turner Peninsula. It was swampy and hot, and I was bored to tears. Maybe that's why I did it. But anyway, when I got back, you were furious with me.
No, you're a fool, Pollock. You've got to take it back immediately, do you hear?
Oh, what possible difference could it make, Waterhouse? Why all this fuss, old boy? It's only a little wooden statue. Can't be worth anything except for a curio.
You're not that stupid, Pollock. You know very well this is a Porra idol. You must have stolen it from the hut of a witch doctor.
Well, and what of it?
Don't you see? To them, this is sacred. As sacred as an altar cross to a Christian. You've not only committed a crime in their eyes, but a terrible sacrilege as well.
Oh, don't tell me they're going to sick their painted gods on me. Oh, I should be frightened to death.
Before they can do anything, you're going to take this back where you found it and apologize to the Porra man.
Apologize to an illiterate black witch man? Are you crazy?
Pollock, I've had about as much of you as I can stand. You're one of those infernal fools who think a black man isn't a human being. I can't turn my back, but you're running crossways to them, getting you some scrape or other. The 3rd time this month, and this time it's serious.
Are you telling me you're going to send me home?
I honestly think it would be best.
Well, as a matter of fact, I'm all for it. I'd be very happy to get out of this sticky, dirty, godforsaken place.
Very well. But before you go, Pollock, for the good of the expedition, you've got to take that thing back and apologize.
Oh, I don't think I'd better.
Why not?
Well, tell the truth, I don't think they'd give me a chance to apologize.
All right. Tell me, what happened?
Oh, nothing very much, except... Well, as I was carrying the thing away, one of those chaps popped up and saw it. Started yelling, trying to take it from me.
Yes, go on.
Well, we had a bit of a tussle. I got away.
Go on, Pollock.
We were on the bank of the river, and I toppled him over, that's all.
He fell into the river?
Yes, I think he may have hit the rocks first.
Was he badly hurt?
I don't know. I didn't stop to find out.
He was dead, wasn't he?
I really don't know.
Oh, you fool.
Oh, it was an accident. I had no
An
intention.
accident, a lot they care. It was bad enough with the idol, but you've probably killed a man. We're in for it now.
Well, there's nothing to be frightened about.
Nothing. In the first place, I should think even your conscience would suffer a little. The second, you don't seem to understand about this horror business. It rules the country. It's the law, religion, medicine, everything. And these Porra are the most vindictive men on earth. The one whose idol you stole and whose follower you killed will be duty-bound to do something about it. And there's no telling what he will do.
Oh, come now. You don't believe in these voodoo curses and things?
Of course not. I'm thinking of something much more real than that.
I mean, you might try something rough.
I can only advise you to lie low until we can get you out of here in the morning. I'll take you as far as Sulima and see you safe aboard a steamer.
You needn't. I can go alone from here.
Not far. You still don't understand this business. You wouldn't get a quarter of a mile from this camp alone.
I still thought you were making a mountain out of a molehill, Waterhouse. But I must admit, I didn't sleep much that night. I lay there on the mat in my hut and listened to the sounds of the village. And then later to the noises of the night-wakening jungle. Sometime after midnight, I must have dozed off because I awoke with a start. For a moment, I was confused, but I sensed something wrong. And then, framed against the moonlight square of the door, I saw a hand upraised, and in it, a knife.
Stop it! Stop or I'll shoot! Stop, you devil, you! Pollock, what is it? What happened?
I missed the beggar, Waterhouse. I missed him.
Who missed who? What happened?
The Porra man. Waterhouse, he was in my hut. He had a knife. He tried to kill me.
Now, wait a minute. Wait till I find a light. There. Are you all right, man?
Oh, I'm all right. I just saw it in time. I rolled aside and... Look.
Eh?
In my bed. The knife.
Oh, that was a narrow one. Well, perhaps now you understand the seriousness of this.
Waterhouse, I saw his face. He stopped just at the door for a second. He was crouched down and he looked back at me from under his arm. His face was etched clearly in the moonlight. It was upside down. I'll never forget it.
I'll get you a drink.
Listen, Waterhouse, listen. He glared back at me with his painted face upside down and streaked with those hideous scars they cut in their cheeks. I'll see that in my dreams.
Now, steady on, old man. Now, here you are. Drink this.
Well, Waterhouse. The idol's gone. I've just noticed the idol's gone. He took it. It's gone.
Yes.
Well, then it's all over. He got what he wants. He won't bother me again, will he?
I'm afraid there's more to it than that.
But he's got the blasted idol back, and he won't try it again. Oh, will he?
I've just noticed something, too, Pollock. There's something here on the floor. One of your shots clipped off the tip of his little finger. It's too bad you aren't a better shot.
Why? Why'd you say that?
Because I'm afraid we haven't seen the last of this business yet.
You were more right than you knew, Waterhouse. The next morning was only the beginning. We were standing by the river and supervising packing.
I'm glad we're getting out of here. There's something brewing, or things wouldn't be so quiet.
Oh, what would be brewing?
A stink in a copper pot, probably. Dancing in a circle of skulls, putting curses on you.
Oh, that. What can he do?
How the devil should I know? They're versatile people. They know a lot of rum dodges. The best thing to do... Look out! Oh, man, that was close.
What was it?
One of their beastly poisoned arrows in the tree behind you. Missed your head by inches.
No.
It came from over there in the bush.
Well, let's do something. Let's chase him something.
No use now. Never find him in there. Best thing for us to do is to get out of here quick.
Well, we got out all right. You remember how we went down the river, keeping as far from the banks as possible? You thought I was safe when you got me to Salima and said goodbye, didn't you, Waterhouse? So did I. You said goodbye and went back to the interior. Nothing happened for 2 days, and I was beginning to feel that the whole thing was just a nasty dream. And then as I was walking in the compound, I was hit in the arm with a slug. It was a long shot. The bullet was spent. I only got a flesh wound. But I knew he was there. And I decided to confide in Pereira, the little Portuguese who had rented me a hut in his compound. He took it seriously.
It is a personal question, you know. It's revenge, see? And he must hurry because you will leave the country.
Yes, I'll be on the boat to Freetown in 3 more days. Then I'll be rid of him forever.
Perhaps. Then there's this magic. Of course, I don't believe in it. Superstition. But still, it's not nice to think that wherever you are, there's a black man spends a moonlight night, sometimes dancing around a fire to send you bad dreams. You have any bad dreams?
Well, there. Keep seeing the beggar's head upside down, grinning at me, showing all his teeth the way he did in the hut. Now, it's nothing to be afraid of. It's not pleasant either.
Then they say poor men send snakes. You seen any snakes lately?
Well, only one. I killed one this morning on the floor under my hammock. Almost stepped on him when I got up.
Of course, it is coincidence. Still, I would keep eyes open. Then there is the pains in the legs and arms.
I thought they were caused by miasma.
Oh, probably they are. When did they begin?
Why, 3 nights ago, the night... Oh, blast it, it's nonsense. If I could just meet this devil face to face, with a gun in my hand...
You might shoot him. But then he might shoot you. I think he do not want to kill you. Anyway, not yet. Their idea is scare and worry a man with their spells and narrow misses and pains and bad dreams and all that until he's sick of life. Of course, it's all talk, see? You must not worry about it.
No, of course not.
But I wonder what he'll be up to next.
Perhaps it is I who shall be up to something.
What do you mean?
Never mind. But I'm not one to just sit and take this. That very afternoon, I had a conversation with a roughneck Mendai tribesman I found there in Salima. He showed me a little iron dagger and demonstrated how one struck at the back of the neck. He agreed to do the job for the price of a double-barrel gun with an ornamented lock. I went back to Pereira's, feeling better than I had in days. That night, the Portuguese and I were sitting in his living room playing cards, when suddenly the Mendai rough strode in without so much as a knock.
Who is it? What do you want?
Oh, it's you.
Have done what you tell me. Have proof.
What is it you have in the package? Is that blood dripping?
Proof. Here.
His head. Oh, no.
This man you want. Now I get gone.
You didn't have to bring this. I didn't ask for such proof.
You mean, Senor Pollock, you got him killed? You did not kill him yourself?
Why should I?
But he will not be able to take it off now.
What do you mean, take it off?
Look at the cards. They are all spoiled with this blood.
What do you mean, take what off?
You must send me a new pack from Freetown. You can't buy them there.
Take what off?
It is only a superstition. I forgot. The natives say if the witch, he was a witch, but it is all rubbish.
Go on.
Well, they say you must make the poor old man take the curse off or kill him yourself. It is very silly.
Gun. No. Yes.
I'll make it 2 guns if you'll take that beastly thing away.
No. 1 gun. No.
All right. Freya, that gun you have for sale, give it to him. I have the money right here.
Yes. Over here. Now, take it and go.
Thanks.
It is funny how the head sits upside down.
Just the way I saw him that night. Just the way I see him in my dreams.
Like it was weighted that way. You will take him with you when you go. Maybe take him now. My cards are all spoiled. There is a man sells them in Freetown. You should have killed him yourself.
Stop it. Stop it. Stop it! I took the thing to my hut, and no matter what I did, it always came to rest upside down and glaring at me. I got a shovel. I buried it in the soft earth behind the hut. But in the middle of the night, I was awakened by some sound in my room.
Oh, what is it? Who's there? Speak up or I'll shoot.
Oh, a dog. Only a dog. Yes, it's only a dog. But in the morning, when I awoke and started to get out of bed, there it was, in the center of the floor, glaring at me upside down. It was uncanny until I remembered the dog. I found his paw prints in the dug-up earth outside, and I knew how it got there. I took the thing down to the river. I threw it as far as I could into the current. At last I'd be rid of it. That morning, I killed 2 snakes. But late in the afternoon, the little steamer arrived that would take me away from this insane land of the Pharaoh and Freetown and civilization. I had almost begun to feel gay as that boat carried me swiftly away from the shores of the Pora land. At last I would be free, and soon I'd be back where Pora and curses and nightmares would be forgotten. I was standing at the rail, sighing with relief, when the captain of the steamer, whom I'd met before, strolled up and began to make conversation. After the usual exchange of pleasantries, he said,
I picked up a rum curio on the beach this go. It's a thing I never saw done this side of India before.
Why is that so?
Yeah, the head of one of these Pora chaps, all ornamented with knife cuts. What? I say, what's the matter, old chap? You're green in the face. I wouldn't have took you for a bad sailor.
Oh, I'm quite all right.
Well, this head I was telling you about is a bit queer in a way. I've got it in a jar of spirits in my cabin, and I'm hanged if it don't float upside down.
What?
Here I say, old chap, what's the matter? Stuart! Stuart!
That was the last straw, I suppose. Something seemed to snap in my brain. And for the rest of the voyage, I lay there in the bunk, staring at the ceiling. And I had the strange sensation that the boat was made of glass, transparent, and that I could see up through the ceiling into the captain's cabin, see the poor man's face floating in a jar of alcohol upside down, grinning at me. I suppose the actual head is still in the captain's cabin in Freetown, but it didn't matter. The poor man's work had been done by then, because now I carried it with me everywhere, in my brain. I saw it everywhere, anywhere. Any object that was round, like a hat or a pillar or a vase, suddenly developed features when I looked at it. Ugly, scarred features with a grinning, mocking mouth. Features turned upside down. When I docked in London, I went straight to my banker's office in Cornhill.
And the security is all in order, Mr. Pollock. You shall have to watch things, of course, but all in all, you shall have enough to live quite comfortably and to enjoy a reasonable amount of freedom. Then, too... I say, Pollock, what are you staring at so fixedly?
That thing. Hanging from your mantelpiece.
Oh, yes, I see. The potted fern. Rather pretty one, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Yes, very pretty.
I must do something about it, though. It's always dripping water down on the fender of the fireplace. Makes it rusty.
I was wondering about that. It looks red, almost like blood.
Rust, you know.
Yes. Oh, by the way, that reminds me. Can you recommend a physician for mental troubles? I've got a little, what do you call it? Hallucination. The poor man grinned at me fiendishly, and I stared back at him. The banker watched me very curiously for a moment, and then he gave me the address of a doctor, and I left his office. That's when my accident happened. To a man who's been many months in the jungle of busy London streets, confusing enough. But when a head comes rolling down the middle of the street, and between your legs... No! I was in the hospital for weeks. The only permanent injury, however, was the loss of the tip of my little finger. By strange coincidence, the same fingertip of the left hand that I'd shot off the poorer man that first night. Well, even in the hospital, the poorer man was with me all the time, everywhere. The doctors couldn't help me. My friends couldn't either. So I tried cycling in the country. But that thing kept rolling along beside me and getting tangled up in the wheels and spilling me. That's how I got the broken wrist. Well, the worst came only last week. I'd just come back from a long walk, hoping to be tired enough to go to sleep. And as usual, that bronze vase was over there in front of the big French window. And it... well, perhaps the poor man enjoys the view of the street 3 floors below. Anyway, this night, I felt a little devil-may-care, so I turned round to it and I looked him in the eye and I said, "So, you're still here, are you, my ugly shadow?"
Yes, Pollock. I'm still here.
What did you say?
I said I'm still here. And I always will be.
No, not that too, not that, no. No! So, now you understand, Waterhouse? I not only see the poorer man, I hear him, too.
Pollock, old chap, this is frightful.
Oh, it is rather, isn't it?
I mean, you are ill, man, very ill. Now, surely there's something someone can do, some doctor.
What can any doctor do? Can he take off the poorer man's curse?
Now, Pollock, that's nonsense. And you know it.
Oh, is it?
Of course, man. It's all in your mind. All, what do they call it? Suggestion. The power of suggestion is strong. You're impressionable. You've let these stories prey on your mind, and you've got to snap out of it.
Oh, I should have killed him myself.
Pollock.
I'd do it, too, with my bare hands, if only I had the chance.
Man, you're talking rot.
Look at him there. Look at him grinning at me.
Pollock, that's only a bronze vase.
Always grinning at me, more and more fiendishly every day. Stop it, you devil, stop it, you hear?
Pollock, calm
Stop
yourself. Lie back. Rest.
Rest. Yes. That's what I need.
If I'd only known, I'd never have left you there in Sulima alone. All this might have been prevented.
Might it? Listen, Waterhouse. When you came in, I was just lying here thinking, I see him, I hear him, my sense of sight and of hearing is affected. And someday my sense of touch will go too. When it does, I know that will be the end. I'll be finished. And the poor man will finally have his revenge. Won't he?
Pollock, old man.
When you came in, I was lying here, trying to get up the nerve to walk over there and make the test. And I'm going to do it.
No, I won't let you.
No, you can't stop me, Waterhouse. Don't you see? I've got to. I can't go on like this. I've got to know. Have it over with.
No, Pollock.
It's beyond anything you can do. Stand aside.
But...
Stand aside, please. Now.
Come back to bed, Pollock. That window is open. If you have a...
Never mind. This is just an ordinary bronze vase. Isn't it, Waterhouse?
Pollock, don't do it.
I know it's only a bronze vase. I know that when I will feel only cold metal when I reach out and touch it. I know. Like this. Oh, no!
Pollock, look out! That window! You're backing into that window! Pollock!
Escape is produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and tonight brought you Pollock and the Poorer Man by H.G. Wells, adapted for radio by John Dunkel, with Barton Yarborough as Pollock, Louis Van Rooten as Waterhouse, and Bill Conrad as Perea. The special musical score was conceived and conducted by Cy Feuer. Next week...
You are groping through the darkened corridors of a gigantic department store in the dead of night. And suddenly you realize you're not alone. That 100 eyes are glaring at you from the shadows. 100 hands reaching for your throat.
Next week, Escape with John Collier's eerie story, Evening Primrose. Good night, then, until this same time next week when CBS again offers you Escape. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
I hope you really enjoyed that episode of Escape. Coming up next, I have Behind the Locked Door. This is an episode of The Mysterious Traveler. This episode was the show's most popular and was repeated several times. Two archaeologists and a guide exploring caves near Lake Mead in the southwestern U.S. come upon an old wagon train that had been buried under a rock slide for 100 years. When the guide is attacked, the other two men must figure out what happened and also find a way to escape the Cave of Horrors. Could it be that the members of the long-gone wagon train are haunting the place they perished in? Join us and find out. Here on our 8 weeks of Halloween, we present Behind the Locked Door by The Mysterious Traveler.
The Michu Broadcasting System presents The Mysterious Traveler. Written, produced, and directed by Robert A. Arthur and David Coben. And starring two of radio's foremost personalities, Lyle Sudrow and Robert Daimler, in Behind the Locked Door. This is the mysterious traveler, inviting you to join me on another journey into the realm of the strange and the terrifying. I hope you will enjoy the trip, that it will thrill you a little and chill you a little. So settle back, get a good grip on your nerves, and be comfortable, if you can, as I bring you the strange and chilling story so many of you have asked to hear again. I call it Behind the Locked Door. Our story begins in the beautiful mountain region of Lake Mead, Arizona. A convertible car is speeding along a deserted road which winds through the mountains. The car slows down, turns into a dirt road. A few minutes later, it comes to a stop before a small mountain lodge. Kathy Evans, an attractive girl in her early 20s, gets out of the car, runs up the steps of the lodge to the front door. She knocks impatiently, looking about anxiously.
Yes?
Martin,
Kathy.
I thought I'd find you here. Aren't you going to ask me?
Go away, Kathy.
Martin, what's wrong
Go
with
away.
you?
Go away.
Not until I find out what this is all about. Well, let me in. Are you alone?
Hello? Yes.
Darling, look at yourself. You haven't shaved in days. And... Martin, those deep gashes on your face. How did you get them?
It doesn't matter.
Darling, you must have lost a great deal of blood. And you're feverish.
Yes, I know.
Is it true about Professor Stevens?
Yes.
Why did you leave town so suddenly last night? The authorities are looking for you.
Do they know I'm here?
No. How could they? It was intuition that brought me here.
They must have found me.
Martin, nothing makes sense. You returned from an expedition last night alone, unexpected. You stay in town 1 hour and then vanish. Not even phoning me.
It's best that way, believe me, Kathy.
You've got to tell me everything that's happened.
I can't, Kathy, I can't.
I'm your fiancé. I've got a right to know.
Kathy, go away, please.
I won't go away until you tell me what's happened.
If I do, then will you go?
Yes.
I don't know where to begin. I suppose if you can say it had a beginning, it was that day a little over 2 weeks ago in Professor Stevens' office.
Come in, Martin. Come in. Have a seat.
Thank you, Professor.
Martin, how would you like to go exploring with me for, say, 10 days, 2 weeks at the outside?
Exploring where?
The Vermilion Cliffs along the Colorado River. I found some wonderful Aztec pieces there last summer. One large cave I stumbled on proved to be a veritable treasure trove.
Yes, I've seen those Aztec pieces in the University Museum.
Now, the Vermilion Cliffs still remain largely unexplored. I'm sure that we could turn up many more objects of interest.
It certainly sounds intriguing. The only reason I hesitate, Professor, is because of Kathy.
Oh, I'm sure she'd give you a 2-week leave of absence.
Yes, I suppose so. How many of us would go?
Well, it would just be you, myself, and an Indian guide, and 3 burros. I find that the fewer there are on an expedition, the better.
Mm-hmm. When would we leave?
Well, what about the day after tomorrow?
All right, Professor, I'm with you. So these are the Vermilion Cliffs, Professor.
Yes. An awe-inspiring sight, aren't they?
Well, they're as breathtaking as the Grand Canyon itself. I had no idea they towered so high.
Yes, they make you realize just how insignificant man really is.
Yeah.
Now, this region is so desolate, Martin, that it's all but unexplored. That's why I'm drawn to it time and time again.
Yes, I can understand that. It represents the challenge of the unknown.
Careful, Martin. You'll get the exploring bug.
Oh, I've already been bitten, Professor.
Well, you're going to be an explorer and an archaeologist, I'll have to start teaching you the fundamentals of the profession. Sam, it seems like a good spot. We'll camp here for the night.
Phew. Well, it certainly is hot, Professor. Exploring isn't as easy as I thought.
Yeah.
All right, Professor, what is it? For 20 minutes now, you've been sitting on that rock staring at that cliff.
Yeah. Note the boulders strewn over the face of that cliff.
What about it?
Well, that's a very peculiar landslide. If you carefully study the formation of it.
What's peculiar about it?
Many of the rocks look as though they'd been placed there by human hands.
But why, and by whom?
Well, one of the ancient Aztec forms of punishment was to seal a person in a cave by means of a landslide or just piling heavy rocks in front of the mouth of the cave.
That landslide, there must be hundreds of tons of rock there.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, we're prepared for it.
Is that why you brought the dynamite along?
Yes. Probably all we'll find will be a skeleton. In that case, it'll have been a waste of dynamite. However, we'll chance it. Oh, Sam.
What do you want?
Get the case of dynamite, Sam. I'm going to blast that landslide.
Professor, better leave it same way it be.
Why?
Evil spirit sleep in cave. Better not wake him up. You really believe that?
Martin, I wouldn't laugh. Sam may be uneducated, but he senses things that you and I can't even begin to comprehend.
Well, now, wait a minute. You mean you believe what he said about evil being asleep in that cave?
I wouldn't say that I believe it. But nevertheless, I respect Sam's opinion. Sam, I still want to blast that landslide.
I get dynamite.
Keep your head down, Martin. When I set that dynamite off, there are going to be a great many rocks flying around.
Don't worry, Professor. I've got cover.
Sam, you ready?
Yes, Professor.
All right. Here goes. Keep your head down. All right. It's safe now.
Professor, I think you did it. I can see a small opening. It looks like a mouth of a cave.
Yes, it is. Sam, let me have one of the flashlights. Martin, you take the other. I'll lead the way in.
Just as you say, Professor.
The air doesn't seem too bad in here. Yes, it's all right.
Yeah, what's that noise?
Just rats scurrying around. Certainly a huge cavern. Look at that ceiling. Must be 200 feet high.
Look at the bats up there.
Yes, huge ones. I have a feeling that this cavern and others extend for miles underground.
Yeah, Professor, look.
Skeleton.
Yes. There's another one over there.
Yes. Let's see what else there is.
Wagon train. What?
Good Lord. Sam's right. It's a wagon train.
A wagon train?
Yes. There are at least 30 or 40 wagons in this cavern. Look. Skeletons of horses.
Yeah. Here's a skeleton with an arrow beside it.
Let me see it. Oh. Appears to be a Navajo arrow. What do you think, Sam?
Navajo. Professor, this wagon train, what's it all mean?
Well, many years ago, this wagon train was attacked by Indians. Wagon train retreated into this cavern, hoping to save themselves that way.
And then the Indians caused a landslide, sealing them in.
Yeah.
Poor devils.
Look, notice that old gun lying there.
Yeah.
The flintlock. Seems to suggest that this wagon train must be at least 100 years old.
Yeah, probably headed for the California gold rush of 1848.
Yeah. Well, we'll come back tomorrow and search this wagon train thoroughly. I'm sure we'll find many things of great interest.
The next morning, after an early breakfast, Sam and I followed Professor Stevens back into the cabin. We spent the morning investigating the trunks and boxes we found on the wagons, and among the moldy clothing and 101 household articles, we found faded letters and newspapers which showed the wagon train had crossed the Mississippi in the summer of 1849, headed west for California and gold. We finished rummaging among the effects of the wagons, and the professor suggested we explore the cavern. We followed him from one cavern to another, each varying in size. Now and then the professor would stop to mark our trail, for the caverns were honeycombed with countless passageways.
How far do you think we've come, Professor?
I should say we're about a mile from the wagon train. We'll go back a few more minutes.
We go back now. This place is evil.
Well, Sam, if there are ghosts here, they're only the ghosts of the people in the wagon train. They wouldn't harm us.
I tell you, evil. Feel it all around. We'll go back.
We'll go just a little further and turn back.
Professor, wait a minute.
What is it, Martin?
Oh, I think I hear running water.
Yes, you're right. Come along.
We seem to be getting closer.
Yes.
Evil all around us.
Can't be much further.
Well, there it is. Yeah. It's a small river. Look how swiftly it's flowing.
Yeah. This probably flows for miles underground, and it empties into the Colorado River.
Say, Professor, here along the bank, there's a tremendous pile of fish bones.
Yes, so there is.
Look. Well, there are even more on the other side of the river. What do these huge piles of fish bones mean?
It's very strange.
Well, how do you account for it?
I'm afraid that at the moment I can't. Sam, you any ideas about it?
Evil all around us. I feel him strong.
Professor, he's trembling. Sam, there's nothing to be afraid of. Look, I'll shine my flashlight around, see?
We've been watched. Watched? What are you talking about? Won't stay here. I go.
Sam, come back. You haven't even got a flashlight. Sam! Come on, Martin. We've got to catch him. Sam! Wait for us.
I can still hear his footsteps.
We've got to catch him. Can rinse off a serious injury running in the dark like that. Sam! Wait for us!
Professor, it's Sam, screaming.
This way. That fool's probably broken his leg.
That sounds more like a fight.
Who could he possibly be fighting with?
He stopped.
Sam, where are you? Keep shining the flashlight around. Can't be much further. Sam!
There he is.
Yes.
He's just sitting against that boulder. His head down.
Sam, give me a hand with him.
Good Lord. Face. Neck.
Yes. I have a theory. But it's so incredible that I can't bring myself to voice it.
Tell me.
What, you'll think I'm insane.
Tell me.
What if the people of the wagon train, or rather their descendants, are alive here in these huge caverns?
Well, that's impossible.
Why? Picture what happened the day the 150 people or so were sealed into this mountain by the Indians. What would have been the first thing they'd have done?
Try to dig their way out.
Exactly. They start digging and find there are 100-ton boulders blocking the entrance, and they have no dynamite. They're forced to give up.
Yes?
They spend days looking for another way out, fail to find one. The day comes when all their food is gone. Starvation sets in.
All right. Then that would mean they would all die.
Not necessarily. The strongest of them stumble along in the darkness and find the underground river. They catch an abundance of fish and are able to survive.
The huge fishbone piles along the river.
Right. The river was an everlasting supply of food. They continue to live by the river in the dark. Some probably went insane, died. Others adjusted themselves to their new environment.
Professor, you think those handful of survivors had descendants who are alive today inside this mountain?
Yes, Martin. And it was one of them who clawed Sam to death.
What can those descendants be like? Being born and living in darkness.
I can only guess. I should imagine they'd be blind or near to it. But their other senses would be remarkably developed.
Their physical appearance?
I don't know.
It's all like a nightmare. A nightmare you can't awaken from. What's to prevent them from attacking us?
And our flashlights, for one thing. I'm sure light frightens them, just as fire frightens animals. Fortunately, I have a revolver.
Well, we better move on. Wait a minute. What about Sam?
There's nothing we can do for him now. Come along, Martin. We must find the trail I marked so that we can get out of here.
Seems we've been searching days for the markings you left.
Yes. Actually, it's been 10 hours.
Listen, what? The river.
Yes. Come along. Once we reach the river, we'll be able to pick up the trail I'm on.
Well, we're getting closer.
Yes.
There it is.
Here we are. Look, Martin, there's my marking on the passageway. We found the trail.
Yes.
Martin, 2 a.m. We'd better rest for a few hours. We're both too exhausted to go on right now. One of us stand guard, and the other sleeps.
All right. I'll sit up the first hour.
Thank you, Martin. Keep the flashlight on.
Don't worry. I will. In a matter of minutes, the professor fell asleep, and I sat on guard, flashing my light slowly around the huge cabin. I looked at my watch, and the seconds seemed like minutes, and the minutes like hours. My eyes grew heavy, and I finally dozed off. Suddenly, I awakened in the darkness to hear the professor screaming.
Martin! Help me! Turn on the flashlight!
Frantically, I fumbled in the darkness, but I couldn't find it. Then suddenly there were shots. By the flashes of the gun, I could see the professor struggling with a huge, dark figure. And suddenly, all was quiet, except for the professor's moans. As I crawled toward him, in the darkness, my hand struck the flashlight. I turned it on, and there was the professor.
Martin, I think I'm wounded.
You're bleeding badly. Let me stanch your wounds.
Too late. Leave at once. At once.
But what about you? Professor? Professor! I felt his heart, but there was no beat. I staggered to my feet, shined my flashlight around until I found the professor's markings. I stumbled wearily along the marked passageway, trying not to remember my last glimpse of the professor's face. I hadn't gone more than 100 yards when suddenly my flashlight flickered and went out. As I stood alone in the darkness, rats scampering past, I fought to keep from screaming. The darkness seemed to become heavier and more oppressive with each passing moment, and I had the feeling something was silently approaching. I backed up against the passage wall and waited, my eyes straining in the darkness, and then suddenly I was leaped upon by a wild fury. I threw my arms up as razor-like claws raked my face and neck. Again and again the charging savage was knocked aside, and I could feel the blood streaming down my face and neck. And then suddenly the deathly clawing ceased as my attacker turned to ward off something in the dark. As I sank to my knees, I was dimly aware of a fierce fight taking place, and then consciousness left me. Later. How much later, I have no way of knowing. I became aware of a heavy, calloused hand washing my face and neck with water. I winced in pain as the water flowed into the deep cuts, and then suddenly I remembered all. And remembering all, became aware of the calloused hand washing my face and the presence of someone beside me in the darkness. Who are you? For a moment, the hand hesitated, then resumed washing my neck. Well, can't you speak? Say something. A noise came from its throat that was more that of an animal than a human being. If I could only see you. Do you have a name? It spoke. It seemed to repeat the word name, though I couldn't be sure. And faint from the loss of blood, I closed my eyes and fell asleep. When I awoke, my face and neck felt stiff and painful. It seemed to sense I was awake, for as I opened my eyes and stared into the darkness, it came to my side. Can't you understand anything at all? Don't my words make any sense to you? Why did you save my life? My hand brushed against its hand, and I could feel the sharp, claw-like fingers on it. I reached out in the darkness. As I touched its face, it bit my hand. I tried to get to my feet, but it placed a strong hand on my shoulder and held me down. At that moment, I realized that not only was it my savior, but my jailer as well. I lost all track of time. Now and then, it would leave me, and I would cautiously get to my feet to steal off, but no sooner had I taken more than a few steps than it would be there at my side, forcing me to return to the bank of the river. I spent my every waking moment trying to think of a way to escape. And then, when my despair was greatest, an idea came to me. The professor had said that the underground river I lay beside emptied into the Colorado River. Though the odds were 100 to 1 against my surviving, I knew it was the only possible way of escape. Slowly, I crawled a few remaining feet to the edge of the river and, leaning over, started to wash my face. I could sense that it was watching me. I leaned forward a few inches more and fell into the river. As I came up for air in the swift-flowing water, I heard a splash beside me. A moment later, I felt its arms around me. The current swept us along with breathtaking speed, and as we clung to each other, I discovered that it couldn't swim. For what seemed hours, the river swept us along in the darkness, and I felt myself losing consciousness as I attempted to keep the two of us above water. When I regained consciousness, Kathy, we were both lying on a sandbar in the Colorado River, and the sun was beating down on us.
Darling, you're delirious from your wounds. You need a doctor.
I wish it were simple as all that.
You're feverish. You need care.
Go away, Kathy. Go away.
How can I? Leaving you alone like this?
Don't you understand? I'm not alone. She's here.
She's here?
Yes. Didn't I tell you? It turned out to be a she.
You're out of your mind. You don't know what you're saying.
When I first saw her, that first time, lying unconscious on that sandbar, my first instinct was to leave her there, but how could I? She had saved my life in the cavern and then jumped into the river when she thought I was drowning, even though she couldn't swim herself.
Martin, I want you to get a grip on yourself.
Just as I was dependent on her in the dark, she's dependent on me in the light. She's blind. She can't speak, yet she...
talking like that?
You can't believe it's true, can you, Kathy? Neither could I at first.
What are you staring at? Is there anyone in that bedroom? Well, I'll soon find out. Why is the door locked?
She's in there.
Martin, you're sick. You don't know what you're saying. I'll prove to you there's no one in that room. It's just your imagination. Give me the key to the door.
Kathy, go
Give
away.
it to me. Thank you. Perhaps when you see the room is empty, you'll be willing to return to town for medical treatment. There. I told you.
This is the mysterious traveler again. Did you enjoy our trip? What's that, madam? You want a description of what Kathy saw when she opened that bedroom door? Well, you might ask Kathy. But the only trouble is, the poor girl gets hysterical when you question her about the occupant of that bedroom. I suggest you write a letter to the Museum of Horrors for a full description. They consider the Woman of the Mountain as their star exhibit. Because when she... Oh, you have to get off here. I'm sorry. I'm sure we'll meet again. I take this same train every week at this same time.
You have just heard The Mysterious Traveler. You may now enjoy other exciting adventures of The Mysterious Traveler in the current issue of The Mysterious Traveler magazine. In our cast, Lyle Sudrow, Ann Shepard, and Robert Donnelly, with Maurice Tarple in the title role. Phil Tonkin speaking. This program came to you from New York. Mutual's ace commentator Cecil Brown, currently on a 3-month fact-finding tour of the world, heads for the Orient on the last lap of his history-making trip. In these last weeks, Mr. Brown will bring you on-the-scene reports from such tinderbox areas as India, Hong Kong, Hawaii, Japan, and Honolulu. You won't want to miss any of the eyewitness accounts by this able commentator of the latest happenings in these headline-making spots of the world. Be sure to listen to the news reports of Cecil Brown over most of these stations. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
I hope that show brought some grins to your wicked little faces. And I hope that you enjoyed our show this evening for our 8 weeks of Halloween special. Stay tuned next week. I'll bring 3 more fantastic old-time radio shows. Again, thanks for listening, kiddos, and we'll catch you next week on The Flip Side.